Dear listeners, welcome at another episode on podcast channel Solid State Society. This episode will be actual crossover of two series on this podcast channel. It's the third episode for the series Lies of the Left, where we are going through biggest lies what the left ideologies like communism or feminism spread across our world through our culture that force us to believe in fixed their lies, and that makes us more sustainable to their ideologies. Also, this is third episode for the series called Aschen Complex. Aschen Complex, named by one of the sci-fi race from sci-fi series Stargate SG-1, is trying to describe how the feminism and the ideologies on the left are actually the great dangers, great enemy of our world. Aschens, known from this sci-fi series, is imagined race, maybe just very evolved humans from different planet, different towards other enemies. Like main villains of the series is the Aschens was actually very clever ones. It was our enemies that they want to conquer our planet and destroy our civilization and destroy our people. But instead of fighting with us, they was much more clever. They offer us their friendship, alliance with them and their civilization, helping us defeat our enemies, give us very evolved future technologies, and even became part of their state. But actually it was lies. It was just a charade towards us. And their true plan was give us this medicine that will make our lives longer and probably most of the population very healthy. But the true purpose of the medicine was a sterility of all human population. So the Aschens was actually enemies who want to conquer the world and destroy us. They was just clever in the way that they do not attack us directly. They just make us sterilize and wait until we died out. That's why I called series continuation of gender wars and failures of women Aschen Complex. Because the feminism as Aschens in this fictional sci-fi series are the enemies that looks on surface, on first sight, as something good. It looks like equality between man and woman could be good. It could be better for all of us. But in the same way as the communism that looks good because it wants equality between classes and between people and distribution of wealth between people more equal way, it leads to terrible consequences. As the Aschens, as the alliance with Aschens lead to destruction of our world and our race. That's where the feminism actually leads. And there is one great tool what feminism actually used against us, what most people, and especially most women, believe today. One of the great lies of the left, and that's the lie of patriarchy. Feminism purposely create this myth, this lie that there is patriarchy. Basically, what they are trying to say through that is that our society is controlled and probably even created by man, just for man, where females are subjugated, they are second citizen, and purpose of patriarchy is to hold man in position of power and subjugation of woman. By describing how the world for the man in our civilization in this modern time at the beginning of 20th century in most Western states looks like, probably now looks like in most of the parts of the planet, I will describe how this is actual lie. It's lie that is based in some way on some true information, on some true data. It's the same like with gender pay gap. Yes, it's true that more people of the male gender have in total more money, greater salary in total than females. But that doesn't mean that females, the women, are getting lower salary for same work. And it's the same with myth, the lie of patriarchy. Patriarchy, yes, there is more rulers and more politicians in position of power that they are males instead of females. If the patriarchy would be described as the system where there are more men in position of power, yes, this could be agreed upon. But there are also lots of examples of females in power, females in position of as the politicians, but the state itself is also not built just for the purpose of holding and giving men some advantage, but also the system itself is built for women as well. So even when the system is built by most of them males, the mans, it's also built for the females. But right now, in the state where our civilization is right now, we can actually see and actually say that it's the more like matriarchy where we are right now. Even when there are more men in position of higher positions like politicians or leaders of the states, literally the culture, the states, the society is hostile towards men. So the patriarchy is actually one of the greatest lies. And the purpose of this lie, purpose of this myth, is to create the belief in women that they are the ones who are subjugated. They are the ones who are persecuted by state or society, when the truth is actually totally opposite. So, how our world for you as the man really looks like? First of all, in first 9 months of my existence, this state do not protect me. If my mother will decide to kill me because she will be, let's say, too fat to her prom dress, the state purposely do not protect me to force women to go to hospital, at least in my country, to go to hospital and giving birth to me in medical environment. So there is great danger that I could die in giving birth on not medical environments. So the state is not protect me at least first 9 months of my existence. That's the first step. The second one is the childhood. During the childhood, most children are ending up with the women's, with their mothers. And often when the parents split, the mother became single. And that will lead to me as the young man, as the child man, to be raised in an environment where there will be single motherhood or there will be non-biological father in the future. And I like that statistic as much. But one of the reasons why, dear ladies, is feminism actually bad towards to you, bad for your long-term future, is that feminism force you, dear ladies, to do things that will return to you in bad way. One of the things is that feminism and today by females control culture, the females, the women became so arrogant that they are often leaving their husbands and breaking the household, finding a different man, so raising children with unbiological fathers, or staying alone without a partner at all because they believe that they are strong, single, independent women and they can raise the children without actual partner. And because of that, we as the civilization in last several decades, let's say in last 50 years, have access to unprecedented number of data, information that no other evolved civilization have in the past. Because the women are the ones who are leaving man, because they are leaving, because they believe that they could be without man, and they are even leaving their children. More children than ever before was raised in single household families, or they was raised by single parent father instead of mother, compared to other times of in the human history. And that gave us huge number of data, and these data are so good, and I'm so pleased by that, because I'm literally mocking to the data. Because what the data actually show us in last decades, when we have this data, when we have this new information, is that women are actually worst parents, and they are worst in raising children than men's. I will repeat it, because I believe most of you believe in something totally opposite. They believe that the women are the one who are better parents. Mothers are always better in parenting than fathers. They believe that. Especially women believe that. Even those who do not want children, they still believe the raising of children is one of the hardest work in the life of humans. But they also believe that the females, are better in raising children than the men's. And that's actually one of the main reasons why females feel superior to men. That's the reason why they believe. That's the reason why they are more arrogant, and why they often look on man as on someone inferior to them. So I'm so pleased by the information what we now have, all these data what we have, because data are actually showing us the females are worse parents. From the data, we can now clearly see that the children that they are raised in full household, where there is biological mother and biological father, have better chance to enter the life, to become fully functional citizen of our society, became fully functional adults. From the data, we also know that if the child is raised by a single mother, then they have greater chance to become mentally ill, like having depression, to, if they are males, to have problems with the law and probably end up in incarceration. If they are females, they usually have tendency to higher promiscuity from very young age, like typical stereotype of very young female woman dating very old guy, basically finding father figure instead the one what they lose during the childhood. And that leads to higher promiscuity and also higher chance of pregnancy during early ages of their life, of their adult life. So by every metric, we actually know that the children raised in single household by mother have worse lives, or at least have worse entrance to the adult life than the children that they are raised by a monogamistic household where there is present biological mother and biological father. And that actually makes sense if you think about it. If there are two people that could take care about the child, it will be, of course, better for the child. That's something what all these females that they are saying, I don't need man, I can raise my child alone, are fully denying. But we also have the data that they are new for us, for our civilization, because now because the females became so arrogant that they also leave their children and leave lots of children in care of just fathers. We also have data. We can compare how the children actually became adults, how their entrance to the adult life is for the children that they are raised by only single fathers. And surprisingly, the children that they are raised by single fathers in single father household, they have almost the same stats. They have almost same numbers of mental illness, problems with the law, frequent or very early pregnancy. They have almost same numbers as the children raised in full complete household. So that literally means that it's the father who is the main figure in raising of the children, not the mother. And another additional to that is that there is also additional great myth that is spread by the woman, is myth of dangerousness of father towards children. And that is misinterpretation or disinformation, if you want, basically lie as well. Because it's untrue that biological fathers are dangerous or sexually attacking their children. Yes, there are still people, there are still men who do that, yes. But the idea of that, the idea or number what we are thinking about it, how much is that happening, is actually caused by misunderstanding or disinformation lie that is based on that unbiological fathers are more dangerous to unbiological children in the way that they could physically hurt them, or they can rape them if they are females. So it's literally saying us that full household, when there is biological father and biological mother, is the best way for the child to have happily or better childhood and enter to adulthood. The worst is the alone single mother, single female that is raising the children, or the second worst is when this mother, this single female, actually find another man, and now the child is raised in a household where it's unbiological father. Because let's be honest, that child is not his. His Standard biological programming is, if it's boy, then it must follow whatever he say he must follow. But if he do not follow, if he start to rebel, he will reject it. Basically, his programming is telling us to destroy or exile male child from his household, or when it's female child, when it will become grown, of course, their body, his brain, his programming will tell him, oh, this is fruitful female, go and fuck her. That's why actually this sexual assault happened. It's not happening most of the time from biological father, but from unbiological fathers, and that's the issue. But we know, if we compare just household of single father, single parent, of just female or just man, we know that the children that they are raised by single fathers have better childhood, better enter to the life. So that means that fathers are better parents than than mothers. And I actually understand why. To be honest, the females think that they are good parents if they wipe baby's ass, if they clean their bodies, clean their environment, and cook them bio soup from bio beans. That's why they believe that they are good parents. But the ladies, this is not parenting. Yes, the females are good in repeated, very not important things, like feeding the baby when it's very young, like changing the clothes, like taking care about the cleanliness of environment or the baby itself. In that part, men have it harsh to actually clean and take care in these things at the beginning of the child lives. Yes, we have it tougher to actually do that. But the childhood is not just first infant years, but its entire 18 or 20 year span. Well, children also need another important lessons, like be taught to how to clean, be taught how to cook for themselves, how to manage money and finance for themselves, how to explore, and many other things. And if you actually think that, most of the time, when the child is taught, when child is on some exhibition in outside, if they go under tent in the wilderness, it's usually father who is doing that. Mother are always staying home, cooking food for them, cleaning after them, but that's all. And that's the ladies, that's not enough. And the mothers are even bad in the way that usually they do not taught their children how to clean after themselves, or they do not taught how to cook. If they are cooking this healthy, biological, organic food for them, they usually do not taught them, they do not train them how to actually gather this food and how to cook this food. On the other hand, it's the men who are usually better with finance, and it's the man who can taught that to the child. It's the usual man who can go to the wilderness to make exhibition outside of standard societies, standard cities when they're living. Is the man who can taught child how to fix machines like cars, And it's most importantly, it's usually man, it's usually father who inflicted on child discipline. And it's not like discipline is needed. The females are even denying the discipline in raising of child is needed at all. And that actually leads to the problems, that actually leads to the data that is proving that the children raised by single mothers have worse lives. And why I'm talking about it all? I'm talking about that we know in United States, in most of the Western world, or even in my country, most judges will send or keep the children in the care of single mother instead of father. In the entire global world, from the United States, across the Britain, in my Czech Republic, I do not know what data is in Russia or China, but they are not much better either. The child always stay and could choose that, always stay in the care of the mother. So literally, state through the court system is sending me as the child, if my parents spread, to worse parent. How you can say to me, as the young man, as an adult man, that this is evil patriarchy, when the system itself will hurt my potential future, leaving me with just mother. And that's one thing. Second thing is actual education system. It's several years when I read very interesting article that describes something what I said to myself, oh, this makes total sense. If you did listen my gender war series, in the first gender war episode, I described 7 circles of hell of gender wars. In the 7th circle, I described how the humans in their thinking, in the brains, are different. How there is male brains and female brains. Male brains is more mathematical one, and female is more communications one. And unfortunately for us males, in this current society, education system from the bottom, from elementary school, especially to university, a system that is now constructed to fulfill needs and to teach females, and it's actually not capable to fully cover the needs or the way of the training the way of teaching for the boys. Simplistically say, the females, even young females, girls, can learn lots of data. They can learn and remember lots of sometimes unimportant information, and they can reply that. It's part of that communication brain. That's why they are communicating so often. That's why the females can talk and talk and talk. They are good in transferring data. That means they are good in information. So they could actually sit on their chair in the school class and just remember lots and lots of information that actually do not make sense for them, but they will be capable to replicate it. They will be in the future tell them back or write them back in test. On other hand, males, young males, the boys, are worse in remembering huge number of data if they do not understand it. And the males, the boys, are actually the one who must more touch, feel, and experience how the things are actually, work. That's what I try to describe in when I say most men have mathematical brain. Mathematical brain analyze. It want to understand. So if the boys look, let's say, on the car, they want to know how the car is moving. They want to know where's the engine, how the engine works. And they usually also need to touch it. They need to help others or open it, the engine, and look how the different parts are combined and how it works together. That's how the that's how the boys feel and how they think. On the other hand, you can taught female all these names of all the parts in the car in engine, but they will not understand how the engine works at all. They will just remember it, and that's two difference. Even when if I will stay with metaphor with the car, if you would take female and male from, let's say, primitive tribe in Amazonian rainforest, and you will travel with them to our civilization and show them for first time our modern car. You will show them that people enter it, they will put they will put gasoline inside, and the car move, and people can move on long distance by that. Female, if they will be interested in the car, will want to know how to work. They will want to know where they can buy gasoline, and how they can drive the car itself. But that's all. But the male will want to know, hey, this is machine that is traveling. I actually want to know how did it happen that the machine is traveling? How did it happen that this machine is moving? And want to know, and if you explain that it's because the engine that is inside the car, they will want to know how the engine works. And this is how man and female brain works. But the problem is in most education systems around the world. Basically, majority of education system in our global Western world is that the children are taught data, but they cannot touch it. They cannot experience itself. So literally we can say the education system from elementary school to high school is built to teach women the way how the women like to be taught, how it's good for them, but it's actually bad for the boys. So I'm staying as child with a parent that will raise me worse than my father. I will start from some year going to education system that will taught me the way that is literally construct for females, and I am just secondary member of that system. And when I will get to university, I literally must be leftist to survive on university grounds. So I literally must become feminist, or otherwise I will not survive on that school. So I must go through all that to achieve adulthood. All the enemies, all the ways, all the system that they are literally construct against me, like court system that is sending me to wrong parent, like education system that is created for someone opposite than me, and it's actually worst for me. And when I finally achieve adulthood and I will start work, first, there is total control of culture, like movies, like music, like TV shows, now even computer games, that is literally filled by multicultural feminist propaganda that is saying that me as the man, especially white man, that I am the evil. I supposed to kill myself, and everybody who is in movie, in song, in video game, who is white heterosexual man, it's now described as evil. Basically, entire culture take my favorite pieces of that culture, and now it's saying me that I'm supposed to not look on it, and I am the bad one. I am the evil one. That is literally happening. Great example, an example that when I'm actually very angry is I could talk about Star Wars. I could go talk about Star Trek. I could go talk about Lord of the Rings and other great pieces of culture that was literally taken from me, made in different way, made it for females to watch on it. And now it's literally saying to me as a white man in my own society that I am the bad one and this is piece of culture against me. But the thing, what angers me probably the most is Terminator series. If you ask lots of people around entire world, from Middle East to China, from Northern America to Southern America, if you ask them, who is John Connor? Millions, hundreds of millions, maybe billions of people around the world will tell you that John Connor is fictional character from movie series Terminator that's supposed to lead humanity in the war against machine after nuclear holocaust. Everybody will tell you that. And what modern culture, modern Hollywood, controlled by feminism, basically controlled by leftist ideologies, and especially feminism did, they killed John Connor. And I know that feminists will be arguing why he's talking about it. It's total nonsense. It's just fictional character and he's talking about serious things. But this is actually serious. That's very important. The fact that character or story is fictional doesn't mean that it didn't impact our society. Hell, Jesus Christ maybe never existed, and he inflicted billions of lies. The ancient Greek myths about the ancient gods is untrue, but it inflicted in the entire civilizations. Lots of stories, lots of fictional characters have impact on culture, on society, on humans in millions, in thousands of years, in millions and billions of lives. So argument that John Connor is just fiction, unreal character doesn't mean that idea of John Connor, idea that if the machines, if AI will rise, especially in this time of age, when we are very close by to actual invention of thinking machines, the character of John Connor is giving us hope that there could be, if the machines will rise against us, there could be someone who will lead us to defeat them. The character itself is basically hope. Hope that in this unwinning scenario, maybe someone in real world, if the machines will really rise against us, will be fighting against them, inspired by John Connor, and maybe one day lead true resistance against machine and maybe even win. This is what this fiction character have on society. It bringing us hope. And what the culture controlled by leftists in Hollywood by feminism did, they shot him like unwanted dog and basically replacing him by Mexican female. And don't try to tell me that entire modern culture is basically against me as the man, especially if I'm white man and if I'm hetero man. So, I will achieve adulthood. Entire culture will tell me that I'm evil and I'm supposed to, let's say, go and kill myself. That's culture. In the work, because all that quotas in all that corporates, I actually have it tougher to find and work in the job than if I would be female. Because the education system, I have worse access to right for education, to do work what I will decide to do, or even if I will have, let's say, diploma from university, because the females, the women enter universities in this number, it basically make inflation in value of my diploma. And now, when there are too many people, because the women entering that universities, my diploma, the fact that I did go to that university and was teach, let's say, economy, it's not as valuable as it was before entering women of universities. So I got the divorce to work, to get work. Because females now are working, it actually makes my value as the worker lesser than it was before the women was working. Literally, that makes my salary lower. Think about it. And I must honestly say that I was not the one who actually have first thought about it. I heard that from the man on one of that dating podcast, that Manosphere podcast against the feminism, that one man, I believe he was in Britain, described, because the women enter workforce, now our capitalist masters, basically CEOs or businessmen, managers, now have higher number of people who they can choose as employees. And because there's more employees who they can hire instead of the time before the woman was working, they can give me lower salary. My value as employee actually did go down. And that was what I was explaining in previous episode. If, let's say, there would be some totalist government right now in, let's say, in United States or states of European Union that will say, now women cannot enter workforce and you must go home and no woman is allowed to work, at least full-time job. What will actually happen? And when I first hear that idea, it was in Handmaid's Tale, I first thought, oh, that do not make sense. The economy of the state would be collapsing immediately. But more and more I thought through, I actually realized that it's fully untrue. If we, let's say, from now on said, no woman can work on full-time job, all the women must go and be reliable on man's salary, there will be lower number of employees and employers would be forced to actually pay higher salary for the men who are remaining, who can be hired, than it is in this state. So literally, I am living culture that is giving me lower salary that actually I should deserve in the way how I work. So this is salary. The second thing is the living spaces, housing or apartments. Because the woman can work, because the feminism and arrogance what leads to in female thinking, more people are now staying alone. More people are single because of that. Men and female, men and women as like. More and more families are now broken and separate. So more people are now living separately. And where that leads to? It leads to saturation of housing market. In the past, let's say 100, 200 years before rise of the feminism, if there would be family, let's say one man, one wife, one husband, one child, they would be living in the same household. They would be living in one apartment or in one house. But because today's society, these three people are living at least on two different places, because female thinks that she do not need man, or she broke up with him, she will divorce him. So now she with the child is living in one house, and the man, the husband, is now living in his own apartment. So that literally means that there is now higher demand for housing, for living spaces, for apartments, for basically the same number of the people than it was in the past. And because we are living in capitalist societies, where that will lead to, if there is higher demand for some commodity, that will lead to higher price. That's literally saturation of market, because now the market can can rent houses or rent apartments or give or sell houses to more customers, then there is actually higher price for that. So literally, because the feminism, I got lower salary than I supposed to have, and I got higher rent that I supposed to have as well. So the culture is attacking me. My salary is worse. I got a low number of money. I got worse entrance to adult life, and I must pay higher rent. Another thing, discrimination of man in against the law in the countries. We know in most of the Western societies that the men, if they commit crime, have tougher sentences. They are staying longer in the prisons, and they are giving harsher judgments by the court system. If there is proof of discrimination of one group, it's definitely this. The men are discriminated just based on their gender, on their sex, in our system, literally. And I should remind you that females have this arrogance to claiming that we are living in society that is in some way discriminating women, when the men are the one who have worse sentences. There is also entire gender war situation where I, as the man, are literally living in constant fear that any woman in any time can literally take her phone, open some social network, write information about that I sexually assault her, and until court will start, society will see me as actual sexual offender without evidence. So I, as the man, are literally living my life in constant fear that any woman around me, any coworker, any neighbor could literally destroy my life without actual evidence any moment. So I cannot work properly. I am working hard. I could be destroyed anytime by female. And most important things, females are saying that this is evil patriarchy. This is the system built for the man by man, and they are second-class citizen, and they are the one who are suppressed by system. But it's actually system that is suppressing man. Because we have very important information, what the females are not mentioning. It's the man who are actually bringing the money, capital, to system, to state, to society. How is that? Because man will enter workforce. They will work harder. They will get probably higher salary. That's the pay gap. They will, and even if they will have same salary as the woman, they will work, let's say, for same years. Average man will work for same period of time, even when we know that the females will probably have children and they will spend in workforce lesser time. Let's say they will be equal in both of time, that female will not have children at all, and they will be both working 14 years. Man will actually make more profit, greater capital that will bring to the taxes, to the state, and because we men are living shorter period of time, we are dying out early than females. So what we actually give to the tax, to the state, we will not consume in total, but the females usually did. So everything what female during the work life will produce as the capital and will give to the state, to the taxes. First of all, state even don't want the same taxes from the female as they want it from me as the male. And second, they will consume all their money what they produce, and then they will take more and more money from the state that they are literally from me, because I as the man will produce more money, will give more money to the taxes to the state, and I will not consume them all. But the state is taking this money and literally giving that money to the female. The reason why there is possibility for the females to be single, to do not have partners, to do not have husbands, is because the state replaces husband for our women, because someone must always take care about the female. Instead of husband, it's now the state. State is telling females that it doesn't matter with who they will sleep, so it doesn't matter from who they will be impregnated, in the way that it doesn't matter if he will stay and take care about her and her child, because if they will choose man who will not do that, the state will take care about them. The state I know that there is big issue in United States that they do not have maternity leave. In my state, we actually have for 3 years, but I do not consider that as actually good thing, because through the system and what the system is saying, that what is saying to the females, it doesn't matter who you will be sleeping with, who you will became pregnant, because we will take care about you. First 3 years you will stay at home, and we will be paying to you. Instead of saying females, no, go and find the person, the man, then if he will impregnate you, he will take care about you for that next 3 years. And the funny part is that the state is paying the woman to do wrong decision by the money what is taking from me, from the man. And the second part, the worst part on it, is that the females, because the state is husband for them, it's literally telling them that they do not need to produce many children. That's why we are facing a population crisis in the nutshell. Because state literally says to you as the woman, it doesn't matter how many children you have. When you will be old, when you will be unable to work anymore, we state we will take care about you in the form of pension. So the females now know that if they will get old and if they will be unable to take care about themselves, there will be pension from the state, again from money what I have created. Instead, when the female would in the past know that they must produce, they must raise and create as much children as it's possible, because they will be literally dependent on the children what she created, what she raised, and what they became adult and functional part of the society that could now pay for her or take care about her. So state is literally paying them to make wrong decision that also inflict me. Because of that, there will be not enough people in the future that will pay for my salary, for my retirement, not for salary, for my pension, if I will live enough, or there will be no replacement of me. Let's say I will do some craft, some important work for my society. I also need some people, some person who will eventually will come when I became old to replace me in the work and do the work after me. But with lower number of the children, there will be no replacement. So, I will go through the life as secondary citizen. State is literally taking money from me. State is literally saw me as the second class citizen. It can send me to the prison without actual valuable evidence, just based on opinion, just based on words of some female. The money are taken from me. The women are paid to do action that they are strictly, literally against my good future and future of entire world. And even if I will find the female when with her I want to start family, again the state will support her to divorce me, to leave me, and will force me to give her my money, my capital, my wealth, just based on the fact that she was married with me for some time, or maybe have children with me. With all that, can you imagine the arrogance and entitlement of our modern woman to actually say that there is evil patriarchy, that system is hostile towards them? Towards them, after all what I told you right now about all the situation one man are facing every day. And the cherry on the top is in democratic system the fact that women can vote but they are not descripted. So literally, females, the women in our society, can vote. By voting, they can pick politician, so they could literally infect and manipulate politician of the state. By inflicting politician of state, when this politics of the state will fail, that will lead to the war with foreign country or civil war inside my country, I, as the man, will be taken by state and forced to fight and probably die in the war because the failure of politics of my state that are failing because the women choose to. Think about it, how crazy that is. I told you in several examples that I'm from Czech. My country is 10 million, big country, or mediocre country in middle of the Europe. Our women can vote, so they can inflict it. They can choose what kind of what kind of government, what kind of state and politics of the state will be. So they choose politics of the state. If this politics of the state will fail, I will be the one who will be forced to fight for failure state and probably die for it. They will not. So if the females, because they can vote, will choose politician and politician will be too good towards Russians and let's say unsupporting towards Ukrainians, then let's say in 10 years I will be facing Russian forces on my state borders, and I will be taken by the state and forced to fight for the state that make this error unsupporting Ukraine be not aggressive towards Russian, that leads to me to be forced to fight in the war, but the decision was decided by politics, that was placed in position of power by the voting of the females. So worst what will happen to them if they choose wrong politics is that some Russian will sexually assault them in the streets. But the worst thing what I will be facing is that I will die on the front. So please tell me how this system you can actually call evil patriarchy. When the females, the women, the citizens, as the citizen can vote against my own interest, when the state is treating me as the second-class citizen, I do not have same rights as the females. The first years of my life is basically hell because the wrong choosing of the state. Culture is against me. And I could not, as in a previous episode of Aschen complex, I could not even became rightful and fulfilled member of the society because our females are so arrogant. And this is what lie of evil patriarchy is doing our society. It's literally like Aschen's. It's on something on the surface that looks good, promising, alright, but it actually leads to the worst outcome ever. The state is literally, the system is literally against me as the man. But imagine that arrogance of the females of today, feminist women, are saying literally, and they believe in that they live in evil system that is against them. When there are literally millions of men standing next to them, that they are suffering and they are persecuted by the system. So no, our system, from United States, across Britain, most of the states, or all states of European Union, or many states of Africa, Asia, and so on. No, they are not evil patriarchy. Actually, it's more like matriarchy, the system built for females that is persecuting men. So, this is the great lie of the feminism. And every time when you hear it, I hope from now on you will understand that it's just lie that it was constructed to have same impact on our society as the Aschens have in fictional sci-fi series. Thank you for listening. I hope you will have a good night. I wish you safe morning, good day, and goodbye. See you next time.